folks? What's going on? Welcome back to the old podcast. Rooney here. Remind everybody to share, subscribe, and got one more request I was going to ask this week. Starting this week, I don't have a separate email address set up, but I'd like to ask anyone that has a paranormal story, a paranormal guest, or maybe you want to come on the show. Just hit me up on my website, bobbydizzle.com. Send me a direct message on Facebook. Here is the website. If you want to check it out, where'd you go? Yes, if you have a story, if you have a experience, you want to share something with me, if you want to come on the show or know somebody, just hit this website up, go down to Facebook, send me a direct message. I was going to set up an email address for that, but I didn't get around to it, and I'm not going to do it because I'm lazy. Anyway, tonight we have Ellen, Philip, Mike, and Mark from the Dark Corners Paranormal group up in the great town of Cookeville, Tennessee, the Metroplex suburb of Nashville to the left of it, isn't it? To the west.
Yeah, we're actually.
So I'm sitting here. I'm doing geography in my head. Like, wait a minute, where's Cookeville?
East, yeah.
East. Is it east?
Yes, sir.
It's east of Nashville. What the? You moved?
Yeah, about 80 miles east on 40.
Really? Oh, yeah, that's right. Because it's just below Huntsville. That's right. And past Lebanon, out there by the racetrack. Let's see. We got. And they're from Dark Hours Paranormal. The link to their Facebook group is in the description. How is everyone doing tonight?
We are better than we deserve. How are you, sir?
Yeah, it was good. I had a good chat beforehand. I've been watching a couple of your videos, just the Facebook ones.
Sure.
And I was glad to. The one thing I always want to know about paranormal groups like yours, what is your home base? What's the place that you go to whenever you need to test your equipment? Like Sin has South Pittsburgh. Eric Sims has Thomas House. Like, what's your version of that?
Yeah. Like Philip said, I guess our fallback, Old Faithful, would be Glasscock Cemetery from Standing Stone State Park.
Oh,
we've had a lot of exceptional EVPs captures there. A lot of people don't like the pollution aspect of a cemetery, but that's a place, we've got a big history there.
Yes, that's on the state park you were talking about then.
Cox Cemetery.
What kind of hauntings do you get there? Is it like a Civil War kind of things, or just regular local folks?
Go ahead, Phil.
It's a mixture of both, I believe.
We've had a lot of EVPs. We've had actual EVPs of drums in the background. Intelligent, responses. We do a sequence. Philip will always do a sequence like, shaving a haircut, 3 bits, dot, 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 dot. And we have had intelligent, responses from that. Lengthy EVPs, conversations, some visuals, the red eyes being captured. And every location's always had a woman in white. So
really. So every location at the cemetery had a woman in white?
That's kind of a running joke for us. Every urban legend in every location is always that. That lady in the periodical, white flowy gown that everyone sees. And Standing Stone Park is no exception. They have that story as well.
Yeah, and not a full body apparition of a woman in white, but just like the subtleties of it. I saw her behind a tree, but like I say, light anomalies, the full array of things. And we've actually connected with other people that's come there, other paranormal teams that's had similar experiences. So it's good to be validated from that standpoint.
It's funny you mentioned an inside joke about the woman in white. I was just talking with the last 4 or 5 guests I've had about paranormal groups about how there's always a crybaby bridge. And like a woman that got dumped on prom night got hit by a car. And like, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. The dancing lady down the side of the mountain.
And the tall black man, black hat guy.
Oh, yeah. It's always that guy. That's the one you see when you're on mushrooms.
Actually, the brim hat guy, we did capture him at another cemetery. Me and Philip saw him. Absolutely.
Walking beside of me.
Yes.
Was Was it a specific person, or was it somebody you just happened to see? Specific person from the cemetery?
Well, it was one of those situations. You see it, you're trying to process it. It was the profile, walked directly by Michael. Me and Philip looked at each other, and like our eyes got wide. And you want to say, "Did you see that? What'd you see?" And Philip, tell me.
Just the outline of a hat, like a top hat. It couldn't be any more clearer.
I had no idea.
Yeah, there's always certain entities, I guess you could say, that every area, regardless of location, even in different countries, they will have the stories and the tales of seeing the same type figure. And the Black Hat Man is one of them. He's just a tall black silhouette with a wide brim, black hat. And you go to so many different, you look him up, just the Black Hat Man, and you'll see so many stories from so many different regions and areas and countries that have that same story, and they have for hundreds of years. It's not like, it's a phenomenon that has to do with the internet and social media kind of spreading that. It's always been there, and everyone has the same account of it. Kind of like Bigfoot. You go to different areas, they all have a Bigfoot type thing that they report seeing, even well before the internet was a thing and you could share information so quickly. So, and the Black Hat guy is just kind of one of those things that everyone has a story of. Every region and country and area has that story of the Black Hat entity that people see.
Yeah, I went down a rabbit hole about the Hat Man on TikTok a few months ago. I'm like, why is everybody seeing the same thing?
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. How it's just it's kind of, it's so interesting that people have these accounts. Just ghosts in general. Before we could communicate as freely and as easily as we do now with internet and social media and different things like that, that was still true then. Every region had these same, almost identical stories, but there's no way, Argentina was influencing the United States because they didn't have that communication.
Just
but
like the pyramids.
Still, they had the same account of the same type situations and experiences.
It's just like architecture and the pyramids and the different gods they had.
Yes.
All the same thing. Like, how'd you know that? So, you're now that I'm doing geography in my head again, since you are where you are, do you ever get into like the Wendigos and the skinwalkers over there? The whistling in the woods?
I don't think so much that cryptids, that aspect of it. It's not that me personally, am dismissive of it, but I've not really been in depth with that. I've investigated in the past with people who, really believe the skinwalker aspect of things. But, and the rangers, the park rangers we've talked to at Standing Stone 1 or 2, they really believe the whole concept of Sasquatch, Yeti, Bigfoot, whatever, different cultures call it. So, like Ellen was saying, if enough people is talking about this, where there's smoke, there's fire. So it has to be legit, but not the skinwalkers and that. No, not so much myself.
I think we've been to one location to where the curators of that historic location, they felt like, was it a skinwalker? They felt like they believe is at Octagon Hall, not so much in the house, but on the property,
Yes.
which Octagon Hall is in Franklin, Kentucky. Predates the Civil War and has a lot of history with the Civil War. And those curators feel like that on that property there is what they consider as a skinwalker.
Yeah, I was wondering your proximity to the Appalachians, if that was a thing or not.
But to piggyback that, just real quickly, Bear, who I would assume is the curator up there at Octagon Hall, and Mike and Ellen, they saw some anomalies there in the field behind Octagon Hall when we investigated, and they have saw like structures and or
UFOs.
UFO activity there behind Octagon Hall in this massive acreage field. I mean, legitimately, like these structures would appear and then go away. So, is that like a space-time continuum thing? We don't know. It's a lot to
this place here.
Yes, Yes, sir.
Yes, that is it.
And didn't it tell us military?
And you can go there. People can go there during the day. It's like maybe $5. They have a lot of historic artifacts that's in there. Some great stories. Just the history of it alone is fascinating and worth going to. And then at night they do private investigations where you can literally spend the entire night. We did one night. We took air mattresses and sleeping bags and
Really?
our blankies, and yeah, we were there for the night.
Did you get anything on the EVP or anything?
I can't remember that we saw and had a lot of experiences there. I can't recall off the top of my head if we had any real significant EVPs from there. No, we have a friend. They did so more than we did as far as the EVPs. But we were outside. Mark was doing a live video, and I was just out there with him when he was doing like a live stream on Facebook to say, hey, here's where we're at. Here's when we're going to go live. And he starts kind of coughing like he has a tickle in his throat. So I'm going to my car to get a bottle of water for him. Well, as I'm walking to my car, I see like feet, like someone walking on the other side of the car. And I think that it's him. Well, then I look around and he's completely in a different part of the property. And there was just no one there but these black boots walking on the other side of my car. That was like at 4:00 in the evening. It was still broad daylight. So there's just a lot of unique stuff that goes on at Octagon Hall.
It's wild. I've never heard of that place. I'm going to have to reach out to their owners or their curators.
There's a curator there. He goes by Bear. I think his name is Barry. His last name has left me. But if you want his contact number, I have that, and we'll get that to you. But
okay.
he can tell you some very interesting stories, and he's very knowledgeable on the history of Octagon Hall. And on their Facebook page, they have a lot of videos of different evidence that investigators have caught, and they have security cameras throughout the building and on the property, and it catches a lot of stuff that they share on their Facebook page.
There was actually a young girl there that an ember from a fireplace caught her little dress on fire, and she did, after she caught on fire, obviously a few days later, I think it was, she did pass away due to her injuries from that. And her spirit reportedly haunts the location. She's been captured several times, by paranormal teams. But like Mike just stated, the government, I think, has been there prospectively and or had some teams up there. So, there again, if they're involved in it, it's probably a weather balloon.
Yeah, what was some of the things Michael Berry was telling you as far as the government?
It was
Black Hawk
helicopter.
Yeah.
Seemed like he said they were maybe repelled down and come up with some kind of suit they were wearing.
Yeah, Black Hawk helicopters, yes.
Really?
And he said there was places in the field that he still would not drive his truck because of what they've seen, building, what have coming up the field, and then disappearing. And it's papers on the property.
If you got the attention of the government, you're doing something right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody on here says they had to deal with a black SUV, I'm like, and tell me more.
Yeah, no doubt.
And were you cavity searched? Tell us more.
But Ellen and I,
Probed.
we were in the back part of the property, and the grass in the field was up 3-4 foot tall. We saw what looked to be headlights right just floating right at the top of the grass. There's a train passing by. We first thought it was lights from the train, but it wasn't. The tracks were farther away and we couldn't see the train. It was just lights just far enough apart like it was on a vehicle.
And then it was gone.
Wow, just randomly in the field?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's adjacent to an old cemetery on the location. And I don't know what the field may be, prospectively be more active than the house in some regards. But it's like all situations, and we've been blessed. We have captured some really good evidence, both by video and audio for sure. But it seems like that one catch you really want, you just don't have the right angle or something. And who knows? Maybe the spirit world doesn't want us to know everything.
I think that's probably the gist of the whole thing is they don't want us to know. I've had a couple. I've wondered if anyone's even wasting their time living in this plane of being if we try to find out what's on the other side. Are we just wasting our time? Are we supposed to know? We're supposed to care? Like, well, stop making it so damn interesting.
It still amazes me, the whole concept that there's people who will denounce the spirit world or stick their head in the sand. I've always referenced it to.
Mm-hmm.
They're just in complete denial of it.
Uh-oh. Spirit world's kicking them off the internet. See what happens. If you can hear me, you have locked up. I'll go to the comments real quick while they sort that out. Red Creek Mafia says, Big Bob. What's going on, Red Creek? And we'll definitely be on. I could have sworn I scheduled a call with you, but it wasn't. It was someone else. Let's see what else. Maybe they'll come back. Probably messaging me now. Hey, we dropped off. It happens. Said he lost power temporarily. That's fine. Oh, we got the same storms coming through where we came through. Is anybody listening right now? They lost power from the storms. It's coming back online. We got storms coming through the Tennessee Valley, and they're just north of me. So that's a factor. It's not the first time it's happened, and I kind of enjoy it when it does every once in a while because I get to go to the comments. Philip Harris on here. I think, is this the same Philip that was on the show with me? If so, welcome, Philip, to the contingency plan of when something goes horribly wrong on these shows. I just do this. While we wait, let me reiterate. If you do have a story, if you want to come on the show, if you want to come on the show, if you have a story that you want me to read out loud, I'll be happy to do that. But if you know somebody, got contact, check out bobbydizzle.com. And you scroll down here, click on my Facebook, and send me a direct message. I'll even put the name right here. Just go to bobbydizzle.com, click on the Facebook link there. Just send me a direct message, and it'll be cool. I was going to make an email address, like I said, but I'm just not going to. Not yet. I'm doing a little site maintenance in the next, or marketing maintenance in the next few weeks. It's not going to make any adjustments just yet. Do we have anybody else in the chat who wants to ask a question? Maybe float a zinger out there. Maybe we can talk about something, look up. If not, I'm just going to sit here and talk a little bit longer about maybe the plans I got coming up. Those of you watching, I'm going to be changing the name of this show, and I have to look at the calendar in a couple of weeks. It's going to be called the Caffeinated Cryptid because I'm always drinking the coffee. I'm trying to get a coffee sponsorship. I'm going to try to have personal stories on, like I just mentioned, about having people not call in, but write in and send stuff for me to read. Just going to be more geared toward the audience and not just me interviewing someone and saying, hey, thanks for watching. When I mentioned the Octagon Museum at the University of Alabama, there's a place, Octagon University of Alabama. A little place like that. The Roundhouse. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what I thought they were talking about. I'll put that up here. It's the Roundhouse at the University of Alabama. Those of you that went to the University of Alabama know exactly what I'm talking about. But this is a whole lot smaller than it's a whole lot smaller than what that is really small. Wow. Ew, that's what she said. Storms must be really bad. Where's the Roundhouse? Come on. Roundhouse. all wrong. There it is. Check it out. Little video place. If it was a hotel room, you'd want your money back. A little roundhouse. It was haunted. I've looked in it many a times on the way to class. So like it's a little museum inside there. It used to be. Like I can just wonder if you can get a better picture in there. Places like that's wild. Roundhouse. For those of you listening on audio only, when I've released this on Wednesday, how you doing? I know the show just took a turn for the better. We're just looking up different stuff. Let's look up Standing Stone State Park in Tennessee. What Mr. Mark was talking about. Never heard of that. I have heard about it. I've seen the signs going up to Gatlinburg. Tennessee State Park, Standing Stone. Pretty looking place. About the park. Missions, museums. What if that's where they found Bigfoot for the first time? Find a park. Places to eat, Planet Gathering. I want to see some pictures. Volunteer. You can volunteer. There's rock climbing, hiking. There's some Bigfoot related stuff there. I guarantee it. Let's check out some of these pictures. We are up on top of the bluff. Man, that looks pretty. Can't believe this is my life sometimes, living the dream. Oh, they may be coming back. Here we go. Hey, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, the weather was looking bad here, and I was wondering if it was going to happen to me. Better you than me. Yeah, I'm looking out the window. I'm looking out the window like, wow, it's gonna storm.
It's raining pretty good.
Do you remember when it got to be like 1 degree for a few weeks, for a few days, a few months ago?
Yes.
And I was on there were 2 instances that I was doing a show late one Saturday night with a friend, and the internet connectors like on the street started freezing.
Wow.
And so my video quality degraded, so I looked like I was on an old school video game. And then all of a sudden, like, internet just stopped working.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just awful. It looked like you was watching something on a camera, like you're watching a Patterson-Gimlin film on a flip phone.
Yes.
It was awful. And then the same week, I had a guy on here from Maine who I do a lot of shows with. He's a Stephen King enthusiast. He's like a self-proclaimed Stephen King sightseer. He's basically just de facto, but he was in Maine during that same week, and his whole freaking infrastructure froze over in the middle of a show. Like, he froze, and he didn't get power back for 3 days.
Wow.
And I sat here, like, I know Philip was on the comments a while ago. I sat here for like another hour because there was half a dozen people, and I talked to the comments for an hour and aired the show. I'm like, well, that was kind of cool. Man, so you did that. I went straight to the comments. Started looking at the Standing Rock formations, the caves and stuff. Where is that place? Standing Rock. I've passed the sign for it 1,000 times. Standing Stone. Sorry.
Yeah, Standing Stone State Park. It's actually in Overton County.
How far is that from me? Let's see here. There's Knoxville, so it's above Knoxville, so it's 3 hours at least. It's way up there. Oh, that's just right above y'all then, huh?
Yeah,
it's the same county that we're in. We're in Overton County.
Right up the road.
Yeah, we have several cemeteries there that we go to on a regular basis. And I can tell you this, I have kind of enough general information. And I don't know if you've done any shows about this subject. I don't know enough about it to really speak intelligently of it, but I do know, talking to enough people, that there has been a history of them finding like sacrificial areas on Standing Stone at the in-depth parts of it where satanic rituals took place.
Like recently or like within the last 300 years?
Well, some of it's kids. Well, I don't think you can contribute kids blowing off steam doing devil worshiping.
Yeah.
But probably over the last 50 years or so,
Okay.
rangers have drawn attention to it. There's actually been cloaked living people with cloaks on in that parts of it. And I'm talking about deep into the park where most normal people wouldn't travel to.
Didn't know if you were talking about like Wiccans or something from back to Salem days or something slipping in there.
Yeah, probably a little bit more in depth than that. You know, some nasty types. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a threat for weirdos and hippies to come in and mess stuff up for everybody else.
Well, there was actually a cult, wannabe cult, back in the late 70s that was adjacent to Overton County here. It was between Overton and Clay. They had their own property. They were hippies, as you were saying. And the name of the road that led to their little community was called Satan's Lane. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
It was called Satan's Lane. And, you know, they was not fronting. I mean, they was legit in their beliefs.
You're going to laugh. I was trying to get followers for this podcast. I looked into how to start a cult. I was like, how do you get people to just follow you? I don't want to take their routing number or anything or make them drink off-brand Kool-Aid, but like, how about get 100,000 people to follow me blindly? How do I make that happen?
Tell them a religious character in a UFO will soon be coming to get them, and you'll get all the followers for your cult you want.
That's the thing. I actually have morals.
Therein lies the problem.
Amen.
I can't do stuff too wrong. Because I believe too good, even though I do like to sleep in on Sundays more than I should.
Yes.
I can't got too many. I always picture my grandma watching me anytime I do anything. It's like, okay, I won't do that.
Running 11,000 acres, you'd say.
Yeah, Michael just looked it up. Standing Stone has roughly 11,000 total acres.
I know it looked like the Smokies a little bit. The way all those different canyons and hollers and stuff.
Yeah, it's a real dense area. Good places to hide out, you know, for sure. But as I was saying, Glasscock Cemetery, that's one of probably 3 cemeteries we investigate. We have had some incredibly amazing results there. And I know a lot of people will reference to the fact, well, noise pollution, you know, wind carrying different sounds and stuff. No, these are actual documented things by both audio and video we've captured. There is no reason for drums to be beating, you know, like boom, 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 you know.
So is there any, like you just, I was like, why is there noise pollution? Hang on. Let me mute you. Is there any like legends of like you just said, Native American drums beating and or like slave cemeteries being out there, slave graves?
Adjacent to Standing Stone in the Hillham area, there is a former plantation, you know, that's owned by a gentleman here in Overton County. We've investigated it as well, and it did have slave quarters on it. It was actually a functioning plantation, and there is numbers of graves in that area. And again, that's in the Hillham area in Overton County. And there's a lot, like there's a camp, Zollikofer is in the Hillham area. That's where obviously the Civil War regiments would camp. And there is, I can't really speak and tell you of it right now, but there are slave cemeteries in Overton County. But I know there's one on that gentleman's property in Hillham.
I say there would be very few actual slave cemeteries in this area. I don't think it was ever a real wealthy area that the people would have had the resources to have that type of plantation and to have that, you know, be able to afford to have slaves and to have that kind of
resources the hill folk.
Yeah, I mean, like you were talking about, it's close to, you know, the foothills of Appalachia. So it's never been, I wouldn't think, a real wealthy area that would have been a prominent thing for people to have had. But there is, you know, a few, I think, that are legitimately in the county, but very, very few.
I was just spitballing about what might be so haunted about it. those things usually ramp up the haunts crazily if they got Native Americans anywhere. That bunch scares me to death. Just how they.
Yeah, there's from my understanding, it's not something I've really looked into, but there was, like all over the United States, I'm sure, a good concentration of Native Americans here, and areas that they knew to be Native Americans. But it's not a lot that I know about as far as the history of it and where we're at.
You're not that far as the crow flies from Cherokee either.
Mm-hmm.
No,
it's right down the road.
And for some reason, that mentioned area of Hillham, there's like high energy levels there that I've investigated with people in the past. Talked about it. We've investigated there. There was a private residence I won't name, but that I've investigated Philip and myself several times in the past. That just off the chart stuff. We've had the levitation of a knife there in the basement of the home. That was many years ago. And I know if we can't substantiate this, it's easy for us to sit here and say this to your listeners or yourself. Yeah, right. That's levitating. Yes, it is. I mean, I'm not going to tell you, Philip, it happened, didn't it?
Oh, that's not the only thing.
I mean, that's one thing in this home. But my point is that's in the Hillham area. And there's another cemetery there named Fisk Cemetery that we've been to. We have saw shadow figures there consistently. You being gracious enough to ask us to be on this little show here with you, we're not going to lie to you about what we capture. I mean, it's the truth. I'm not going to mention.
Oh, I believe you. It's not even the craziest thing in the top 20 that I've heard on this podcast. So I'm right here along with you.
Right. But, my point is areas that have high energy levels, maybe that's close to bodies of water, electrical outlets, or, like a substation or something, it tends to really energize the atmosphere and causes heightened activity. Yeah. Limestone foundations, like Mike was just saying.
Yeah. I was about to say that.
Conductors.
There was a lady living in the Hillham area was telling me a story. They had experienced, I don't remember exactly how the story went, but they experienced some stuff with a little child, and there was no children at their home. And the next morning when they went out, there was a handprint on their car door, a child's handprint.
Yeah,
we're numb to it. We're numb to it. I mean, for us, when we hear these things, it's like, we know of it. I mean, when it happened, I guess you could say we're desensitized to it. Where some would be amazed. I mean, that really happened. I mean, it's.
Somebody asked me the other day, said, "What do you do? What do y'all do when you experience something?" I said, "We just do an off about it."
What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I think people are looking for the reactions like on the TV shows.
Yeah.
It's always this over exaggerated response to hearing the least little sound or, think they may have seen something or heard something. And I don't know in reality that anyone really does that because you're trying to process what you saw, what you heard, and trying to be like, is there a logical explanation for it? So these over exaggerated responses, I don't really know that happens.
We'll hear a knock or one of our devices will make a sound or light up. We'll say, well, can you do that again?
Do y'all use any kind of trigger objects or anything like the cat toy or the teddy bear or flashlight?
We use the Maglite twist-on flashlights. We have the cat balls. Wanting to get a Boo Bear from Ghost Stop in the future.
I was asking us to ask this. I was trying to put together like a kit so I could start investigating, like just to be a tag along third wheel and seeing if like maybe what trigger object, what K2, what little instrument I could put in my pack if I only had to carry like 3 things. I think the trigger object's the main thing because I think that's the coolest little thing. Like, oh my gosh, it did that and made it move.
A simple school bell. I've got one in my pack, and we have had that. That's a subject for another show. Bring us back. It's just a bell that just a regular school bell that you hit. We was at an in-home investigation over in the county back many months ago, and the bell was hit. It went off. Simple objects like that, but my favorite piece of equipment, I wish everyone else would chime in, the digital voice recorder. It's pure. It will not lie when it's captured. Even the biggest skeptic cannot deny what's captured on audio.
Oh yeah, being a podcaster, I already have one of those, so it's already in the pack.
Yeah, I mean, the old school K2 meters are awesome, pieces of equipment. Yeah. There's so much corruption with them because of cell phones. They will cause, disturbances in the field.
We've also experienced where cell phones will set off motion lights.
Yeah, and like Ellen, just to piggyback off what she was saying, the television shows, of course, producers have unrealistic expectations. They want viewership, so they're going to heighten a lot of the activity for those purposes. But yeah, I mean, we try to debunk. We do the best we can to debunk. Like Philip said, if a cell phone sets off a motion light, hey, a walkie-talkie, the right frequencies on a walkie-talkie will set motion lights off. It's not paranormal. First and foremost, you try to debunk it, rationalize what's going on.
Oh yeah, I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
it's not a demon.
No,
it's never a demon.
No, everybody wants to find that demon, and if they found it, what would they do? I'm sorry, you may believe in this. Smudging is not going to protect you from a demon.
Smudging, yeah.
You may not believe that, but smudging myself is not going to protect me.
Or the sage?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what they use. Smudging. And I know there's a lot of cultures that they believe in that, and we have respect for any culture and any belief.
Absolutely.
But there's certain ways that people, it's almost trendy, like chasing demons and using sage, and it's so trendy. It seems like right now some of it we kind of dismiss because of that regard, not the culture it comes from, because that's important to people. But when it just becomes trendy and it's just for views and it's just for to solicit a response, we're kind of dismissive of that a little bit.
Yeah, it's cool to be a demon. See a demon now.
Yes.
It is. People, and I often wonder, have they not really wrapped their mind around what that means? And if they have, there's certainly no way that they're going to go seeking this out. If you truly believe that it's there and you truly know what that means, that's not something you go to seek out, because you're not going to hunt it. You're not going to do anything with it when you find it other than have a really bad time in the end.
It's like having an invisible grizzly bear in your house.
Right. I mean, it is. And it's one that you can't see and that you don't know what's going to, at least with the grizzly bear, they have a nature to them that you can almost understand. With these people apparently do not understand the nature of it, or they're just not going to go seek that out. But it's trendy and it's cool, and it seems to be the popular thing to want to say that you're doing. There's so many YouTubers and TikTokers that are doing this, and it's always like, I'm at a demon house. I'm at a demon cave. This is the portal to hell. No, it's not, because there's not any, I don't think. My opinion is that probably doesn't exist, because they don't go there. Demons don't go there. They don't want to be there. They don't freely travel between those things. They don't go home and eat lunch and then come back and terrorize us. It just is.
No daily commute.
And I don't want to be disrespectful of Native Americans, anyone who believes in the concept of smudging as protection. I don't want to be disrespectful of that. I personally don't believe in it. That doesn't make me a bad person because I don't agree with what you believe.
Truth. I had a medium on here a couple months ago saying that a lot of times the scratches people say are demons is a ghost cat. I was like, what if like an old lady dies and all her cats die with her? If you go in the house and just get scratched all to hell.
Yeah.
Like, it's a demon house. She said it's a lot of ghost cats she runs into.
That's so interesting, because don't. I think her, Sin. She does a lot of books. I think she even has a book about spirit animals and people's accounts of spirit animals.
Yeah, I think her and I talked about that as well. I can't remember. The conversation was so good. I was like blindsided. I'm like, how do I find these people?
I know. I've never had a spirit animal, like ghost animal encounter, other than we heard hoof prints or hoof, like. The sound of horses.
She definitely has one of those though. Let me look at that.
Yeah, she does. I don't recall the name of it off the top of my head, but she does have one of different people's accounts of their, animals that have passed and the stories with that.
I think she was like pulling her books off the shelf and stuff, showing them to me. I need to go back and look at that.
Mm. But now I know 3 of us that I can think of right fast here. Ellen has been bit and or scratched. I had my shoulder blade, but between my neck and collarbone here, pinched at a cemetery. I mean, I know what I experienced. Philip had a very severe scratch on his back at the local cemetery. I think Mike's the only one that's been safe to this point. I have seen people while investigating be scratched, and it's legitimate. I mean, it is. It's not people standing there scratching themselves for giggles,
Mm-hmm.
It's legit, and it happens.
What do you what do you think the scratchings come from? Like, it's obviously not a cat every time.
Well,
I think it's just like a desperate attempt to get attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that. It doesn't mean it's malevolent,
Yeah.
in that, I don't think that's absolutely what it is. It's just like an object being manipulated or moved. Usually that's a one-shot deal. If we ask for something to be moved, manipulated, or show us your level of energy, we're not tempting this thing, this presence, whatever. If it gives you that one big thing, usually that's it for the night, and then it's on the next. But yeah, I think it's attempted communication. Yeah. The child, be it child, what we thought it was, that be it, and Ellen can talk about this more, she experienced it. That was a child pretty much communicating with you, I guess.
Yeah, I through the course of the night, just, asking different, like kind of like probing questions and trying to get a response. We came to the conclusion that maybe it was a family or there was children that were there. And I'm always cold, especially like when we go out the later, part of the year. So I had on, I think, 2 shirts and a sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm.
And still through that, something bit me. And I mean, it hurt. I try not to respond when we're out places or, especially when there's, a lot of people around. I don't want to just like have that over response, but I responded to that pretty
and we do
pretty
have
vocally.
Pictures. We do have pictures of that, actual documentation.
You think there's a way for them to take like a car battery and a coil and make like an energy source for them, or they could? I know I'm not the first person to think of that. I think I saw that on a TV show, but you think that would work if there was enough? You created enough energy, like a golf cart battery set on a piece of plywood. Like, here's all the energy you need.
Yeah, I think there's all kinds of different things that people have come up with to try to boost the energy level in a location.
Tesla coils.
Yeah, the Tesla coils. But we had one of those, and it just kept overheating. So we didn't. I mean, no one can really build a real Tesla coil, so that's kind of. I mean, I would love to.
Yeah.
That's sort of the
Mike
option.
is an electrician by trade, so if he could build us an apparatus that would throw off like what's that called, Jacob's ladder or something like that. If we could do that, that is supposed to be, as I mentioned earlier, a conductor for heightened paranormal activity. Now, Philip did have an EMF pump years ago, but it just threw off a very annoying which messed up your digital voice recorder.
Well, those are spinning the magnet. Then there's some electronic ones.
During thunderstorms like tonight, I think it's very, very much so to your benefit while investigating.
Yeah, I'm sitting here watching that radar too.
Yeah.
They got a tornado warning just on this side of Memphis. I was like, don't be bothering me with that crap this time of year. I thought we were done with it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, just the next county over, they had one touchdown, I think, an hour ago.
Need no tornadoes. It's June.
But I just want to add this to it, and I'm not going to talk in length about it.
You can.
We pray before and after every investigation. That's just how we roll.
Oh yeah.
It's very annoying to me to see these investigators online, whatever the case may be, that curse the whole time. I mean, and like Ellen said earlier, screaming. It's not productive. It's counterproductive to investigating. if we go to a cemetery, be respectful. We know the Bible tells us that the dead know nothing. But are there prospective spirits on this earth, in this realm, that are trapped or lost, misplaced? Absolutely. The world is too big of a place to think that energy sources don't exist. And I think we should all be respectful of every location we go to, be it a home or a graveyard. And to curse and be like this, or even get drunk. We know investigators that throw a party and get drunk and investigate. That's a scam.
You see lots of good evidence when you do that.
I see a lot of spirits.
I bet.
And drink a few too.
It seems like it would throw off your trustworthiness with the other side if you're doing all kinds of stuff like that too.
And I do.
Your energy level.
I think you have to build a camaraderie several times consistently through the obulus, the spirit box, the portal. Mike built a portal himself, portal device. Our names has been mentioned. And I think they are connected with us, and consistently, if we investigate, they know us.
I would think they would. I mean, all the guys that talk to Bigfoot on their property, they all have know the people's voices, don't trust anybody else. So I think the paranormal, the ghosts would be
that's interesting.
Very similar.
Right.
I think you're right. I think with anything, even humans, it's our human nature. We are drawn to who and what we think we can trust, or who and what we think is going to listen and to try to, to be understanding or whatever it is. We're drawn to where we feel safe and understood. And so I think the same is with that.
Yeah, especially if your whole existence is trying to reach out to somebody that can't hear you and finally get a outlet that's quasi reliable, like knowing you guys' names.
And I pray that one day we can find out, which we will. I don't think the veil between this world and the other, I don't think it's as far apart as we think.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think if you're in tune enough that you can almost feel stuff on the other side. I don't investigate, and I don't try to go actively pursuing it with Ouija boards and whatnot, because Ouija boards. But I can feel certain things, certain ways, and I'm like, how does this even work? I bet if you could tap into it, like at Area 51, which they're probably trying to do, something like that. I bet there's a way to do it frequency wise. I'm not sure.
Well, there's a lot of upheaval now about the big, if I pronounce this right, the Hadron Collider in CERN, Switzerland. That big device that costs $50 billion or more. They're about to fire it back up not too soon. And of course, its whole purpose was to find the existence of the God particle, which was the inception, the big blast that created quote unquote man. A lot of people are up in the air about that from the perspective that energy may cause a rift again in the space-time continuum that could cause some nasty stuff to happen, maybe even prospectively the next Armageddon.
Every time they do it, the cereals change names.
Yeah.
Like Fruit Loops isn't Fruit Loops. How'd you do that? And they change movie quotes. That Mandela effect freaks me out. I know a couple of things are not.
Yes.
Something's going on. It may just be fun to talk about, but
I may be. The weirdest one to me though is now, what is it, Publishers Clearinghouse? Who was the guy that did Publishers Clearinghouse? Yeah, now they're saying he never did that. If you search the internet, they're like, no, there's no evidence that Ed McMahon ever did the Publisher Clearinghouse commercials. But
see, I do remember that.
I remember that. And we were watching an older TV series. I don't even recall what it was. And I was like, it's right there. It even mentioned Ed McMahon and waiting for Ed McMahon to bring their check.
But he was on American Family Publishers. It was the other one.
Was that different?
I remember when I was little, I remember my grandmother explaining it to me. He calls it was the same thing to us because you just get the big book full of magazine stamps,
Yeah.
But he was on the other one. I do remember that. But
so maybe that's what it is. People are just think that they're interchangeable and they're not.
Yeah, because it was just on TV back then. It was the same. The logo was a big ass envelope, and they both had a truck
on it.
Yeah, but there was American Family Publishers and Publishers Clearinghouse, and Ed McMahon was for the other one.
But something even scarier is the Simpsons episodes.
Yeah, man. That is scary because that Trump going down the stairwell. How'd they get that one?
Yeah,
like that happened. That happened verbatim.
There's so much that it's like they predicted. Either they're writers, or I don't know. They're either very intuitive.
I'm going to Las Vegas about that.
Or I would like to just talk to them and say, where do you get these ideas? Do they just like come to you in your sleep, or do you just are that in tune with the world around you, and people are that predictable and we just don't see it?
We've got our favorite. I guess what would you call him? Fan here. He says Matt Growing was a 33rd degree Freemason. A device that sees. Wait, what is this? Vatican has the chromosphere, the chronoscope device that sees into the future.
There's probably, we've talked about that. The Vatican and what is there and what they have and what they know, we probably would be absolutely blown away by it.
Yeah, what's in those archives?
Yeah.
Those libraries no one can see.
Yeah, that's like the origins of man, the inception of mankind. I mean, the scrolls, all the original copies and, the different cultures, it would be amazing. So maybe they're locked away for a definite reason.
Yeah, I don't know if it's to protect us, to manipulate us, or to keep us in line. Who knows?
I would say
we'll never know what's in there.
There's no way they give enough of a crap about us to protect us.
That's very true.
Yeah, protecting obviously isn't a big deal because they made us wear muzzles on our face for a year that didn't help. Just made us shut up.
True.
But
not to step on anyone's toes from the perspective of religion or pastors from the past that you watched, supported, whatever. But I found out a little bit of information today that I did not know. Pastor Billy Graham, who passed away, I think, 4 to 5 years ago, he was a 33rd degree Mason. So a lot of people have an issue with that, him being a pastor, because a lot of people looks at the Masons as a different culture, some even prospectively from the satanic standpoint. Now, I'm not advocating that whatsoever, but these people were questioning that. How can you be a 33rd degree Mason and be a pastor?
Now, what is the? Oh God, what was I going to say? They always want to go satanic, like you said. Everybody wants to be cute with a demon. They always go that. It's always fun to say Satan. God, I guess I was going to say that we saw the Billy Graham church on the way up to the Outer Banks. I can't remember where it was. I was just thinking about it. Somewhere on I-40, wasn't it?
I'm not sure about that. You guys know?
I don't know. We've drove that many times, but I've never noticed that.
There's a Billy Graham something. I remember seeing it. No, you sparked a core memory. I know what it was. I was going to say I don't think they're doing it to protect us. I think that we as a species are more special than they want us to know, and they want us to keep us down here as like equal with the apes and equal with the animals. And we also have, but we're like, because like we can see things and we have psychic abilities we can't use because of fluoride, and like they're hiding that kind of stuff from us. I'm trying to formulate a sentence here. Well, I've been
fluoride conspiracy, and a lot of people really entertain the idea that we're all hybrids. All humans are hybrids.
I would say it was very possible in some way. I mean, if you break it down to what God actually is, if he put his touch onto the species to make us what we are, I mean, that's by definition a hybrid. It's not blasphemy to use the definition, I don't think.
I know. Have you heard of the theoretical physicist Michio Kaku? Have you heard of him?
I heard the name before.
Yeah, I think he's still living. He's in New York. He used to teach at a university. He theorized, and he's a highly intelligent individual, obviously, that as a species, that mankind is not even at the stage of walking yet. We're still crawling. And I tend to believe that.
Really?
He theorized that. I've watched several. I've read some of his books. I've watched interviews with him. He theorized that we are crawling. We are nowhere close to walking.
Oh, you're talking about theoretically. Theoretically, as advanced as we can get.
Yeah, shoot. Yep. He doesn't think as we're made up, as we're formed right now, that we can get to much more of a higher level. And who knows?
Yeah.
I think God's got limitations on us, for sure. He's not going to let us get any smarter than what he wants us to be.
I think that's the reason. I think that's kind of like how the video game ends when they start getting crazy New World Order and can go interstellar. I think that's the
yes.
Once we can go to other levels of the simulation, so to speak. They don't want us to be able to do that.
Yes.
I love talking about the simulation. It just by definition, we're in a video game. We're not like Red Dead Redemption or anything, but just by definition, we're kind of playing by a set of rules, and we have parameters.
Well, if I'm a simulation, I wish they'd have done better.
Yeah. It could be karma based by your last reincarnation or whatever. You never know.
Yeah, I had an uncle that believed in that.
I'm kind of getting that way myself because something made me this ugly. It wasn't me. Somebody did something. I'm paying a price.
Someone wronged us somewhere, didn't
they?
Something's being atoned for. I don't know what that's about. What's he saying? See, Mr. Duffy always gives me shit about being Knights of Columbus. He said the war. He goes, I said, and I always tease him. Does that mean I can't go to my pancake breakfast anymore? He's probably right. God knows if you say you created history, what's different and what's true about it. The Knights of Columbus bunch. It says Satan's the same as Santa.
Have you interviewed any of the flat world people? Flat Earth?
I have, but it wasn't because that's what they did. They just kind of were that when they got on here and I found out.
Right. No
one ever really got too passionate about it, though. I don't know. Maybe they kind of gum up when they start talking about it or what, but I never had anybody on here that was a flat earther. That's what they were here to talk about. Right. I've had flat earthers on here, but I've never talked about it more than just a couple of sentences.
And that's like us from the paranormal perspective. You know, we appreciate the historical aspect of it. We like to go to these places, thoroughly enjoy, the lives these people lived, the locations. We've been to Alabama a few times to different locations. Some of them I can't mention because of privacy reasons, but we really respect the historical aspect, because if these things aren't preserved, future generations won't know anything about it.
Are you talking about like the battlefields and stuff like that?
Yeah, just in general. Even old hospitals, like in Gainesboro, Tennessee, close to us. We went there last night. I would encourage you to check out their page also.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You mentioned that on your Facebook profile.
Yes. It's Curious Things Investigations. April is the curator of the Gaines House, which Ellen is an old Civil War hospital, makeshift hospital home, and we investigated there to some degree last night. Check that out. It's the Gaines House. It's a very, very interesting location, and it's in Gainesboro, Tennessee, Jackson County.
Yeah, they believe it to be probably the oldest home and probably still standing structure in Jackson County. And it served as a home for, I would say, most of its existence while it was livable. It could still be livable now if you did a lot of renovations to it. It's a stable property. But at one time, much like with Octagon Hall, during the Civil War, it was one of the bigger homes in the area, and it was used as a Civil War hospital. So there's a lot of that Civil War history with the Gaines House, just like with Octagon Hall.
I was looking at Facebook now.
Yeah, they do it. April does a really good job of promoting that with, the county there and the city. They have been gracious enough to let her be the curator of it. And again, they're Curious Things Investigations. They're good people. I don't give people I don't endorse. I'm not going to give them a shout out. But they are good people.
You don't want to besmirch your own name for somebody else.
Yeah,
exactly.
But I think she has some pictures. One of the most interesting pictures as far as paranormal that I have seen that I feel like is just so legitimate and so authentic was taken at the Gaines house. And there's 2 photos within seconds of each other. You see one of the guys that she investigates with, his name is Brandon. He's standing there by himself in one frame, and then the next frame, it looks what would be like a housemaid is standing beside him. Just like her silhouette. And it's more than just a silhouette in that. Usually that's what you catch, just like a partial image or just a silhouette. But there was definition to her. There was like different color spectrums for her clothes and for her hair. And it looked like she had like a bandana, like a scarf tied around her hair. It's the craziest picture.
To me, and I'm sure you've talked with people that's experienced this. I hope I pronounced it right. Pareidolia. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Where we look at an image. And
Pareidolia.
Thank you, sir. The mind's eye. If we're encouraged enough to see something, if somebody says like, "Don't you see that little girl? Don't you see that little boy?" If we're told that enough, then our brain will process it. And I think that's the misconception with a lot of photos. But if you can find this one, or we'll submit it to you, the one Ellen was just talking about, I believe truthfully this to be an actual full body apparition of paranormal nature. I mean, it is. It's amazing.
That's what those Bigfoot pictures frustrate me so much. Just a leaf that looked like a face. I'm like, it's not a Bigfoot, man.
No. And I'm not good at seeing those things. Like, people will show me pictures and like, do you not see that? I'm like, no, I do not see that. Very seldom do I see what they see.
I get so mad.
But with this one, it is so obvious. Yes. And when she's showing me this picture at first, I'm not getting it because I just think it's another person standing there. So I'm like, what are you needing me to see? You're going to have to be more specific in what you're showing me. And then she's like, this person. I'm like, that's not an actual person there with you. She said, no. And then she showed me, the 2 seconds in between, and that figure's not there at all. And then I was like,
I thought I saw one a while ago.
Amazing.
I thought I saw a picture of what you're describing.
They should have it on their page. I've not actually looked in depth to see, but we have it on our phones.
I wonder if they could see it. One up short.
You can send it to the messenger if you want to.
Send it to.
Okay, let me do that right fast.
I thought I saw paranormal pictures a while ago. That's the reason I was hurrying back through them. I saw a Civil War guy.
And I do want to say this, and not to just toot our own horn or whatever. We do this to help people. If we can help families, we have been in homes and had people who were experiencing quote unquote hauntings from children that had passed away in the family, the tragic death of loved ones or whatever. And, we do this to help people. It's not for our own personal gain.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, and I always thought it was like when people would say that before we started going with Mark, like, what does that mean? You try to help them. What is it you think you're going to accomplish? I never understood that. And I think the biggest thing is that people that are experiencing something in their home or whatever it is, a lot of times just someone to validate it it just makes them feel better. Like, you're experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing. So now I don't feel quite so crazy, or I don't feel like I'm losing my mind. So that's a big thing, I think, for people.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And the entity is to the left of the frame there, and the other picture is just Brandon, who is to the right. It's like a second, 2 seconds later, but that's the entity that was captured there. And to me, that's legitimately paranormal in nature.
If they weren't there, that's definitely paranormal.
And well, we can vouch for these people that do this. April is no nonsense, and they were floored by this evidence.
Yeah, when she showed me that photo, you can kind of see now what I'm saying. I'm just like, what am I looking at? Because I thought I was looking at a photo of two people, and what she was thinking was evidence, I just wasn't seeing at all. But there was not two people standing there. It was just Brandon that's kind of off in the corner, and then the lady that's in front of the window, she wasn't there, not in physical form, I guess you'd say.
And Brandon has his own team, Football Ghost Hunters.
I'm looking at this closer. It's crazy.
But
that's a person.
And again, we're not going to submit that to you.
Yeah.
Can one of us find the picture a few seconds after that? We'll try right quick. If you'll send it to Michael's going to send it to me, and then I'll send you the picture.
This was 2 seconds.
This is 2 seconds after.
Like one's wearing Abercrombie and one's not.
Exactly. One's wearing Abercrombie and the other doesn't even know what that means.
No.
Okay, I'm going to.
We had a tire shop in my hometown called Abercrombie Tire, and I was confused when Abercrombie and Fitch came out.
It's like, what does that mean?
I'm like, why y'all wearing Abercrombie Tire stuff?
It's like, I didn't know that was that big of a deal.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
And
that's it though.
I can't explain that. Ooh. There's no way to explain it. What was the EVP they captured there that told us about that was really creepy in nature?
Yeah, they have, and I had heard of it before, but I never had been anywhere they thought that's what it actually was. In the Gaines house, there's a second floor that is just basically you go up the stairway. There's like a landing that wraps around the stairway, and then there is a larger open room. So in that larger open room is a half doorway that goes into the attic. And at one time it was floored and somewhat finished, and they think that it was what people used to call a disappointment room. If someone, in the family wasn't, for whatever reason, they, maybe their behaviors weren't acceptable or, their appearance, something like that, they kind of just kept them there, and they were just kind of shunned to that area. So they feel like this space was that. So they were having a conversation, just doing like an EVP session and investigating, and they thought they heard maybe a child or there was something to do with a child. And they asked about this space that's in this attic behind the wall, and they called an EVP. And again, once I listened to it, I thought it was either come across one of the devices like the spirit box or the ovulus, because it was so clear. But it is a man's voice saying, that's where the children are. And I asked her, I'm like, well, who was that? And she's like, well, that's it. That's what I'm, that was not said by one of us, or it did not come across the device. That was just such a clear EVP that was captured.
That's where the children are.
That's where the children are. Yeah.
That'll give me goosebumps.
I know.
Yeah.
It was. And the great thing about April and what they do at the Gaines house, it was falling into disrepair. And they went in and they talked with the organization that the house is in, like a historic society that has control of the house. And so they have started opening it up to teams to go in and do private investigations. And the money that they're getting from that, they're using to try to restore and to maintain the house. Because it's a property and, such a part of history that you don't want to lose. So they've been able to do, restore some of the plumbing that's in it. They've cleaned it up to where, you go in and you don't have that musty old, been abandoned for years smell. They've done such a good job with it. And you capture things like that picture there.
That's wild. That's just something standing there.
I know, that's one you just keep going back to, thinking, how did they even capture that? But I think it was a team that was there, and they were kind of investigating with this team that came in.
Yeah, that was submitted.
And it was, it was just an amateur team. They weren't really, a ghost hunting team. It was just a group of friends that came and said, "Hey, we want to do this," and they were just snapping pictures, and one of them captured that.
And that makes it more authentic.
Yeah.
They picked it up with the SLS camera. Had Brandon hold his hand out, see if he could feel a cold spot, and that's on the other picture where he's by himself holding his arm out. That's what he's doing, and he felt cold spots. So April told him to start taking pictures, and when they did, they caught that figure.
And the SLS did map that identical figure.
Really? Got the picture of it?
Now the picture you're flipping to on the stairs. Speaking for myself, I do not see an entity there. There's supposedly a face, but I'm not saying it's not there. I just don't see it myself. So supposedly there's a gentleman there looking through the pickets of the steps.
Send him some of the ones that you have.
Yeah. You got to really want to see that.
58.
And again, we'd rather promote someone else, but we have pictures too. Maybe sometime I'll get a collection of them together. I know our time's probably short here tonight, but we have several photos that we've taken.
We'll do some EVPs we found.
Yeah, we have like a class AAA EVP at an old school building in Citrus County, Tennessee. That will blow you away. We absolutely do. It is a class AAA EVP. It is so clear and defined, it's ridiculous.
Those are the best kind because you can't refute them. You're like, oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Like some of the ones I've heard, like who's the fat one, something like that. Like, wow, that's.
And I do think they talk about people investigating,
mm-hmm.
And I kind of surmised, what if they sit in a corner? Hey, let's go over and tickle the fat guy.
Yeah.
Fat guy being me, So.
Well, they always will. They say things like Rick, blue shirt, things like that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to was a soldier.
I mean, I can see you're surprised at that one. That right there is one of the best captures I personally, in 17 years myself, have ever seen.
I'm just trying to figure out what it is silhouette wise. Like, is it a soldier?
We think that it is prospectively, as Ellen said, a housemaid.
Okay.
We don't want to say the term. We might, upset someone.
Okay. Check.
You read between the lines.
Got it.
We know pretty much what we think it is.
We're from the same place. We don't have to spell it out.
Yeah. If you want to hear a clip that we have, Michael's got the EVP that I was just talking about. He could probably lay it on the table there and let you hear it.
Send it to you.
Would it be better if we send it to you and you play it as far as the audio?
I don't. Well, we can try it out.
Okay. We'll let Mike send it to me, and I'll send it to you right fast.
These things work different every time I try it. So.
Okay. This one, I believe you will be equally as impressed by it. This was taken. Ellen, won't you go ahead and tell him the premise of it?
Which one is this?
No, right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this one, we're at a school that has since been abandoned. I don't know how old the school is as far as like when it was built, but it's been abandoned for many, many years. So we had been going there quite often. It's almost dilapidated to the point that it's not even safe to go in. And we'll go in some pretty sketchy places, but that one's getting to where it's probably not safe to be in as far as the floors go. But we always ask, because it is an old school, we try to do, like you're talking about, trigger objects as far as, asking school related questions. And so this is what we got one night. And we didn't, we sent the audio to a friend of ours that has some of the equipment. Dave that you talked to. He has some of the audio equipment that he helps us kind of pull those out. And so this is what he sent us. So you can see there the voice readings, where it picks up our voices, and you'll kind of see how it plays out.
I'm sorry.
Run up the hallway.
Oh.
Can you run up the hallway? Can you run up the hallway? Can you run up the hallway?
Wow. Was that the same clip over and over?
Yeah, he looped it
Okay.
just to kind of show what it was doing, but then it goes into where you can see the voice mapping.
And
Okay, because I was like, that's gonna get annoying. Say no running.
Yeah, Philip and another investigator that was with us at the time, they were running in these old hallways, provoking. They were throwing stuff. I mean, the place is torn all to pieces. They were being like disruptive students, and we really think that triggered that EVP, excuse me. And that sounds like a old school female teacher because of the firmness of her direct response.
And it's
That was
the actual audio file itself.
Can you run up the hallway?
No running. Ah. Hang on.
Can you run up the hallway?
Wow, that's crazy. That's blatant.
And
I had to mute y'all. I was getting feedback when I played it. But yeah, it's blatant.
that same the same building, we were there one night, and we had finished for the night, and we're just packing everything up, talking, just kind of being silly, goofing off, having, just chit chat conversation. And we hear what sounds like several people down the hallway from where we were. It goes into like a foyer, and then it goes into the old gymnasium. So we're packing our stuff up, we're talking, we're being silly, laughing, just having fun. Well, we all stop because we hear what sounds like several people having a conversation. We can't understand them, but we all stop simultaneously because we hear these people talking. And our first thought was, mine anyway, was that either maybe like a group of teenagers, because we've had them stop before, a group of teenagers, hey, can we hang out with you, investigate? We don't mind. So my first thought was that.
It sounded like a pep rally.
Yeah, it was just a lot of people. So a lot like, almost like, young people talking, but you can't understand them. So I'm saying, well, there's a group of kids coming in, to see what we're doing, what's going on at this old school. So we stand there and wait, for them to come, to come out, to come up toward us. We stand there a few minutes, we still hear them. Then we thought, well, maybe the police have come to make sure we're okay and we should be there, which we had permission, so we weren't worried about it. There was no one there. No one at all. But we heard this whole group of people in that gymnasium for several minutes.
So it sounded like an actual congregation almost.
Yeah, it did. And we're like, well, it's, almost like a school gathering in the gymnasium. But we kept waiting, looking at each other, thinking the group's going to come out and say, hey, how you doing?
Did that group ever just go stone silent all at once?
Yeah, it just disappeared.
Wow, so you just hear...
We hear it for a few minutes and then it's gone. So we're just standing there like almost not dumbfounded, but not really processing yet what's going on, thinking there's actual people that's going to walk out and we're going to have a live conversation with them.
At least 50 of them.
Yeah.
So prospectively, maybe that was residual energy. We'll never know. We've not experienced that there at any other time before or after. But when you hear it and you're standing there in that moment, it's like, how?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's wild is these are the craziest experiences a human could actually have, and they won't let you document it. That's what makes you mad.
Yeah.
Well, in that we were finished. I mean, if we had voice recorders going or cameras going, we may have captured it. And we've often wondered if, like, when we're sitting like this, just talking amongst ourselves, and it's just natural conversation, just organically happening. If that doesn't generate more evidence than if we're trying to prompt them or, to get them to respond.
More of a like, hey, pay attention to me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because there have been places where we've had activity that happened, we've just sat and talking. We've tried to get something happen, nothing happens. We're sitting talking, all of a sudden something happens, something will fall or be a
got real comfortable with you.
Yeah.
There's also the video of the nail being thrown, and that's cool too.
Yeah, there was actually me and another investigator was in the main hallway by ourselves. I'm glad you brought that up, Tina.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like a bag or a box of nails was thrown at the entry, as Ellen was talking about, the entrance to the school. That's the only thing I can tell you. It sounded like a whole bag of nails was just thrown. And we're sitting there in the pitch dark. The other investigators had walked to the other areas of the school. And then we heard footsteps. And we walked up there. There's no one there. There's no nails. There's no nothing. I mean,
big chunk of metal.
Yeah, and people that's watching this, listening to it, whatever, they're going to think, yeah, right. I'm telling you the truth. I have no reason to lie about it. I mean,
and the SLS called like a teacher writing on
yeah,
the board.
Yeah, we have a video of a teacher standing in front of a blackboard from this same school. Mm-hmm. You know how old school teachers would take their sticks and be working their hands like I have tonight a little bit, laying it off and everything. Yeah. The full body apparition of a teacher teaching to her class.
From the SLS?
Yes, sir. We have that video. Yes.
Have you heard Sin's SLS video she talks about with the ghost that's pleasuring itself on the couch?
Nope, not heard of that.
I have not seen that one. But shame on her for not sharing that to the masses.
Until I heard that account, I marked the SLS off as kind of crap. But once she showed me that, I was like, oh my gosh, there's something to this.
So it's literally sitting on a couch.
Yeah, just like you. And it's doing the motion that we all know it was doing.
Wonder if it's the SLS
It probably is. Yeah, Michael, for several of the other teams that we know, Michael has built their SLS.
Yeah, Michael here actually built that one for Sin, by the way.
Might have been.
Give you a shameless plug. I'll have to message her about that.
But if he builds you one, he cannot guarantee that kind of result.
Well, I'd have to go back and listen to the episode, but like there was a bunch of crap going on in the house and whatnot, and all of a sudden they investigate it, and he sits down and looks over, and they look in the screen, and all of a sudden there it is, and it's the telltale sign.
Wow.
So that gives us something to think about. At any given time, any given day, we can be sitting in our house, minding our own business, and somebody else be doing their business right beside us. We don't even know.
I'd be like, I still got it. Still got it. And you are welcome. Yes, ma'am. What Bill Engvall say? Yes, ma'am. You are welcome.
That's you.
Who?
Your friend, I think you know Adam Harris. I'm not real sure how.
Yeah.
But I've been getting the play-by-play all night, so he must be one of the gang. Since had something get thrown at him.
Oh, is that what you've been laughing at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's talking about the school.
Oh yeah.
That's Philip's little brother.
This is my brother. He went. That's when he went, and stuff happened to him as well.
I figured you knew him because every time he commented, you started laughing.
Yeah. That's my brother.
Nah. With his Punisher avatar. What other SLSs have I heard? Because I discounted them hardcore. I thought it was just maybe smoke and mirrors, but
right.
There's been a couple I've heard of that I'm like, wow, that's not exactly a coincidence.
A little kid at the house in Kentucky.
Yeah, I have a video that Dave actually recorded at a home in Glasgow, Kentucky. We investigate, and Philip is standing in the doorway, and Dave asked, we saw the entity next to Philip's hand, and Dave asked for the little entity, whatever it was, child, adult, whatever, to hold his hand, and it took hold of Philip's hand.
Did you feel it? You feel
Oh
it?
yes, it was a really cold spot, like sticking your hand in the freezer, and it just went away.
And then
Wow.
at one point, it started crawling up his leg.
Yes.
And we do have video of that too. And Dave will vouch for that. That was authentic video.
Crawling up his leg. Wow.
I guess the best though for me with the SLS, we were at the same old school and we're just sitting there, and it was almost like there didn't seem to be a lot going on, so we were sort of just having casual conversation. But I guess Michael had his SLS and he was panning it around, and it's just like I don't even know what it could have been. I always, like, in my mind, I'm visualizing like a monkey. But there was something just literally sitting on Mark's head like it's pounding on a bongo drum. It was the best thing ever.
And I did not feel that one, but they was adamant that this creature was on top of my head.
It was. I mean, we probably have a video, but it's polluted because I'm just laughing. I mean, it was so funny.
Do you think they ever fire on? Sorry. Do you think they ever fire on like the graininess of a like when the video gets dark, how it gets kind of grainy and patchy? They ever fire on that? Maybe a false alarm?
I feel like that'd be a question for Michael.
It's just me think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's a mapping. It's mapping things that it's around. So graininess in it might distort it, but the screen, like when you're looking at it, what it can see, it's almost like either it sees it or it doesn't. Because you do have to watch, like if you're in a house and like a furnished house, and say there's a lamp that's standing there, because it has different features to it, and then it has the globe on top, it will try to map that as a person. So you have to be aware of that and what it will try to map as an actual person. But I don't think the quality of what it's seeing is going to affect it so much as objects there that it tries to map that it doesn't need to, just because it has a certain shape or form.
Mm-hmm. Did any of y'all watch the last season of Game of Thrones?
I've not watched any episodes.
Oh man, I had a funny idea. There was an episode that was really dark. It took place at night, and there was action at night. You couldn't see anything. You didn't have a 4K TV. I wonder if you took the SLS and pointed at that scene, if it would actually be able to see something.
That would be interesting.
Everybody was complaining because in HD you just saw masses moving around, and every once in a while some dragon fire, and then everybody's like, "What? That was an hour and a half of dark."
I remember my daughter did complain about that. Her husband.
It's the best episode of the season.
Yeah,
and it was dark.
We don't even know what happened.
Yeah. I was just picturing the globbiness, like, there was something in this scene after all. Just a bunch of stick figures.
That would be, maybe that's the only way to know what's really happening, just to map it with an SLS.
I get on SLS TikTok, and I get on Hospice Nurse TikTok a lot.
Oh, me too. Like Hospice Nurse Julie.
And the stuff they see, and they won't come on a podcast to save their effing life. I bugged the shit out of every hospice nurse I saw on there, and nobody.
They will not.
Huh. That's interesting.
It's hard to. With paranormal societies like you and Bigfoot folks, and they're all just like, yeah, I'll come on. Don't even have to know you. Hospice nurses, forget about it.
You reckon it's just a privacy thing?
I think that they're kind of just numb to it, and they don't think it's funny.
It might be a respect thing.
Yeah, but like the ones that I have seen, they have such a huge following. It makes you wonder if like doing a podcast that's not going to garner them views or them, traffic to their channel. Maybe they're not too up for it. I don't know.
But now I will say this: if you talk to any nurse that has been an RN or worked in a hospital for any substantial amount of time, they all have stories of like off the charts. Like this one lady I know, she just came right out and told me, this is an avid Christian woman who goes to church every Sunday. I know that's cliched, but she does. Trust me. She said she had seen the angel of death at the local hospital here where we live on 2 occasions. Michael had an experience, excuse me, in his family years ago were the passing of one of his loved ones. The whole room lit up as this individual was passing away. So, hey, at the time of death, the transition, things are occurring.
Hey, anything can happen. It's just like a software upgrade. That's loud.
Yep.
It's anything can happen. It's like there's having to do an upgrade on your iPhone. Like nothing works as it should for a couple of minutes. So you never know.
Yeah, every experience is going to be different because every person is different. Every situation and backstory.
Yeah. I'm changing the name of the show to be more paranormal and cryptid centric in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And maybe I'll start another show pretty soon. Maybe I'll do like one on hospice nurse only.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would definitely watch that.
God, because at TikTok, the comments of those episodes are scarier than some of the podcasts out there.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think they're so numb to it, they experienced it so much. But if they would come forward, I think it can be solace for people who have family members that are going through this.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not a horrific time. It's a releasing of energy, and people need to be comforted at that time.
Can be a little bit of a HIPAA violation too.
Yeah, and there's so many parameters, things to navigate through, but that would be, really good if you could get people to open up to you.
That'd be kind of cool. Like I put out that APB to get people to send me stories. I'm going to start doing that every podcast, see if I can get somebody to send me a story or something. You never know. Have a collection.
I'll ask this. What's the most, is Bigfoot the most known cryptid that they see or have experienced, people that's been on your show?
That's the one that, oddly enough, I can't say is fake. I wouldn't, if you had a gun to my head right now, I wouldn't be able to be like, yeah, it's not real. There's wild stuff going on there that we don't know about.
But the Chupacabra people, they absolutely believe in Chupacabras. I mean,
Yeah. The goat sucker.
Yeah.
Well, I have a friend of the show who's on here who I talk to a lot. He does his whole thing is Mexican cryptids.
Yes.
It's called Mexico Unexplained.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk all the time. There's a lot going on down in Mexico. It doesn't have to do with cartels.
No, from what I understand, they're very, very spiritual and very in tune.
Yeah, it's huge down there too.
Yeah, so I think the more in tune that you are to it, probably, and the more open you are, the more things that are going to be maybe revealed to you, and that's why they have such a history of it. But I think chupacabras are real. I've often thought they weren't. They were maybe like a mutation of something. Because when you look at them, they just sort of look like a dog with mange that's been kind of inbred or something. I don't know.
I mean, the people that tell me they see these things are not lying about it, which freaks you out even more. Like, what did you see? What in the world did you see down there?
But now, and on another note, the Native Americans are absolutely, they will emphatically tell you the skinwalkers are legitimate.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, they're really intuitive. They're really connected with the spirit world. And, I mean, who's going to argue with it? I mean,
I think that I said the other night that the Native American legends should be kind of like the hot sheets from Men in Black. That's where you should start your cryptid investigation and work your way forward, because I think they're telling the truth in there. A lot of them. It's not just legends.
Yes.
It's not just constellation they saw in the stars and it looks like a fox and that's what happened. I think.
And we're big on, like, all these different topics come out in mainstream media, things, like different things that they really highlight on the 6 o'clock news, whatever the case may be. Are these diversions? And I guess I'm really hitting the conspiracy theory aspect here. Are the things they're telling us, are they, as Mike has said several times, are they diverting us from something that's happening that they want us to be blinded by? A lot of people have theorized that there's a lot of inner workings going on, and they'll throw something out there in the media because the media will run wild with it. And, our attention is drawn this way when this is happening over here.
I think that's a lot of what that.
I got a question for you.
Sorry, I was gonna say that's a Bud Light and Target mess is a diversion. Sorry.
What's your thoughts on that UFO recently that crashed in Las Vegas in the backyard?
Oh, with the blue light.
Yeah.
I've saw some stuff on that, and I didn't realize that they saw a being. Like it happened at the time of the week, where I wasn't paying attention to the news.
It's new to me.
Well,
The
I'm with these guys. I'm just hearing of this now.
the security, the body cam footage from the police officer
He saw something walking 8 foot
behind
tall,
the fence.
like signs, man.
Yes.
Well,
Pop, pop, pop.
the government's now released that there is something going on there, and people may have UFO.
Watch this.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah, it's on CNN, so it may not be real. So, get your grain of salts out.
Okay.
Those of you who are, it's wild, man.
It's yeah.
Let's see what CNN has to say. Come on. Oh, what? No one.
Interior of an infinity is thoughtfully designed to be all about you.
I mean, you can see the figure, the big black eyes,
We're gonna mute the Nissan commercial.
whole thing.
What's your gut on it, man?
I don't know. I don't know how. What the
10-foot creature in yard.
crashes and then what? Not even an hour later, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Can y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll show you. Probably after.
You see it? I don't know. I'm so nervous right now. I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a shooting star. Then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
You know, brother, we just
Did you see it? Huh? Did you see it?
Yeah, me and him saw it.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
Do it for Dale.
Yes, you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard, or?
They see like a big. That's what they say. They see like a big something with light. Can we go that side?
Weird. Just the fact that our partner saw something at the same exact time. If those 9-foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
Where's the 9-foot beings?
Hey, this might sound like a really dumb question, but did you guys see anything fall out of the sky? Like, if you see any, like, little, well, not little in this case. They're claiming 8 to 9 foot tall green beings that were in their backyard. Sounds crazy, but you never know.
Well, I thought there'd be thought they'd show those beings. Yeah, but that's wild though. That many people?
Yeah, and I mean you can't be dismissive of everything because I mean, yeah, there's a lot of fake videos
I have
out
a
there.
better video.
So you have a better one?
Yeah, it was on TikTok. I seen it on TikTok.
Well, Chinese propaganda.
I gotta find it.
I'm just kidding. Let's see. Video of Las Vegas aliens. I was just the first one that came to the. Of course, CNN's not going to show.
And of course, they're blocking the spaceship when they open the gate door. Of course, you can't see that though.
Do they believe the government got there too?
Well, that's the thing. There's no marks. The only thing that's left is a big circle in the backyard.
So it seems like it would be, if it was a hoax, it would be an elaborate hoax, right?
You would have to play it off really, really good. You would have to have outfits.
You actually hear the man calling 911.
Right. They have the audio.
Yeah.
Of course, Las Vegas has a history.
Yeah.
Of paranormal, excuse me, not paranormal, but I'm sure that too.
Remember that one that happened over the casino that they played out not too long ago? I think that was fake, but it just reminds me of it.
A lot of the old school casinos was on it. I know.
The Luxor and it's haunted.
Yeah. A lot of the gangsters hung out there. A lot of the
Used to
stars.
sit and watch those mushroom clouds.
Well, they said it was. They thought it was a. I know what you're talking about. It was one of those big lots that shoot up in the sky, and they said it was that.
Everybody thought it was an alien.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten to the point in our existence that for us to believe it plausible to think that everything we see or capture is a weather balloon, it's not that way.
No, it doesn't work anymore. Maybe to our grandparents.
Well, how
Very
about
trustworthy, the government.
I don't know that this is paranormal or weird in nature, but there's whales that are so intricately designed. They're spy apparatuses. They have spy cameras and stuff on them that are in the ocean.
Huh.
Yeah.
Learning all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have heard about that one.
Yes,
the dolphins with the weapons on their head.
That has movement that are fake. They're actually spy.
Spy whale.
And the balloons that we shot out of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I really want to see a picture of these beings.
Now, that's new one for me. I've not heard of it.
I mean, what happened last week?
Yeah.
I know there's orcas that are destroying boats.
What's that?
So there's orcas that are destroying boats.
Oh yeah,
Okay. My bad.
The killer whales.
Yeah.
I think they're just highly intelligent and they're just tired of humans in their home.
Yeah, they're basically dudes. Nah. We may have to end the show soon. Kevin Stallings is finally here. He said he would be late. He meant it. And we're pushing 2 hours. Holy, this must have gotten good. What did we talk about?
I don't even know.
Anything and everything.
I blacked out. I lost time.
And I mean, I hope we didn't take it so many different directions, but didn't stay on topic.
No, that's terrible. Don't do that on the podcast. Don't go down rabbit holes. Yeah, man, it must have been good because I really thought it was only been like an hour. I know we had that 10 minutes.
I didn't realize.
I know we had that 10 minutes where the power went out, but that was
was
just
a sign of things to come, man.
That was the entity saying stop talking about us.
Yeah.
I do want to say to you, sir, thank you, and Dave also thank you for the invite, and it's been a pleasure.
Oh yeah,
sure.
I made a lot of friends in this paranormal world doing this stuff, and I'm just now I just now got about 3 pickaxe worth of dirt in my journey to the center of the earth doing this.
There you go. There you go.
I can't imagine if I get 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 followers, what kind of people I'll deal with. Because I'm dealing with people who are on Ancient Aliens, and I ain't cracked 300 yet. What's the clout? What's the guest level if you got 10,000? I'll be over here. I'll be talking to George W. Bush about the tunnels under the White House before you know it.
Yeah.
I asked him about Tower 7.
Mm-hmm.
Inside job? Yes, no, thumbs down, blink twice.
Yeah, no doubt. Just blink if you need help.
I put stickers on my Tacoma in college for you. You have to tell me. All right, Corners Bunch, I'll let you go. I know storm's about to hit me, so let's not chance another power outage. Appreciate you being on, and your link to your Facebook page is in the description for anybody that wants to see that.
We appreciate your time.
Oh yeah, it's been amazing. And for those watching, please subscribe and please share. And if Adam Harris, if you want to share, don't just do your. I know you did your part being the eye in the sky. So I really appreciate you being on here. And Kevin, thanks for showing up. An hour and 45 minutes late. It'll be docked from your pay and noted in your annual review. Appreciate it, guys. We'll go ahead and end the broadcast. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good night.
Oh, yeah. Good night.
Thank you.